Right guys, Ubisoft have released Assassin's Creed Shadows and the talk of Yasuke and whether the black samurai is actually a samurai and things like that and all of that. Now, I'm going to tell you all about it today. It's going to be a bit of a long video, but stick with it. I'm going to tell you all about it. I'm going to tell you I've asked, the research I've done. I'm going to show the original documentation, or at least the original transcription of the original documentation. I'm going to put all that in here, so don't go anywhere, and by the end of the video you're going to have learned a lot of things. However, I'm going to tell you first and foremost, which is the most important thing, is why it does not matter that Yasuke is a samurai. And I don't mean it doesn't matter because we don't care, and I don't mean it doesn't matter because it's all airy-fairy. It doesn't matter because most people misunderstand this. You're not looking for a samurai. You're not looking if Yasuke is a samurai. You're looking if he is a warrior, a fighter. Samurai is a very complicated term when you dig down into it. It's a very broad term which makes it vague, which makes it more complicated. But this is, so think of this, You need some vitamin C, yeah? You're after vitamin C because you're vitamin C deficient. And you say, oh, well, I'm going to eat that tomato. But you say, I want some fruit. So I'm going to get some fruit for vitamin C. You say, well, I need an orange, but I don't have an orange. So I'll have a tomato. You're like, okay, well, is it a fruit? And then some people say, yeah, it's a fruit because it's got a pip. And you're like, okay, well, it's got vitamin C. I'll eat it, but I wanted a fruit like an orange because I've been told that's a fruit and fruit gives me this. The technical thing about a tomato is it is a fruit, but nobody puts it in the fruit aisle. Do you know what I mean? The point I'm trying to make is what you are looking for when you're looking for Yasuke as a samurai, what you're asking is Yasuke a samurai? Is he a fighter? Does he wear armour? Has he got a sword? Does he go on the battle lines? Does he kill people? Yep. From an academic standpoint, asking whether Yasuke is a samurai is like saying, does he have the bureaucratic position allotted by samurai, which was established in the 5th, 6th century to mean servant? The Bushi class came across and merged with samurai. Occasionally we have a difference. By the 1500s, that the social class of samurai is being filled by warrior bushi, and therefore they're interchangeable. But samurai need really to have legitimacy by going back to a certain, you know what I mean? You're like, that's not what you guys want to know, is it? You guys want to know, did he smash people's faces in with his fists and then crack them on the head with the butt of his sword and stab them with spears? That's what he did. So this is the problem, okay? If you're not familiar with Japanese history, samurai is like a position given. The word bushi means gentleman warrior. But you've also got to consider ashigaru. Now, ashigaru, people go, oh, yeah. People well misunderstand ashigaru, in my opinion, is because they say, oh, samurai are there, ashigaru here, ashigaru wear these hats, samurai wear these hats, the samurai are better than the ashigaru, and the ashigaru are just bumpkins with toothpicks. It really isn't like that. So first of all, on a very slight level, I have looked into ashigaru, and it doesn't seem they all wear these slanted Chinaman's hats and they run around, with hardly any armour on. Actually, early documentation of ashigaru and samurai shows them as almost pretty much the same. They wear two swords. They have armour on, or various levels of armour. They have identification marks on, probably from their lord. The difference is this: a samurai probably owns his own armour. The ashigaru is loaned it, most likely. The samurai owns his own weapons. The ashigaru is probably loaned them. The samurai lives in a house provided by the land he uses, or basically what his lord has allotted him. The ashigaru lives in a house which his lord has allotted him, whether he's farming part-time or by the end of the 1500s, a professional soldier. It doesn't matter. These two people fight for their lord on the battlefield with swords, spears. They wear armour. You won't get ashigaru riding horses, but you'll get them looking after horses. And the best way to understand this from a Western perspective is Robin Hood. So Robin Hood, is meant to be the noble. He's the knight. He's, legend says he's the knight, but his merry men are not. They are the low-level locals who are good at war, good at archery, good at camouflage. They'll ride a horse away, they look after him, and they make sure he's got the right thing at the right time, and the Friar Tuck is there looking after him. And the point is, you've got a cohesive unit there that comes together to go to battle. This is the same as the samurai. The samurai has a horse if he can afford it. He has his sandal bearer. He has his side. I'm not going to go into the Japanese terms. His side assistant. He may or may not have a troop of ashigaru with him, and but these are pretty well trained soldiers who are, well, trained may be the wrong word, but experienced soldiers. You imagine an officer in the army, yeah, has gone out into the army, right? And he takes with him some squaddies. All the squaddies are non-commissioned officers and below, and they basically have got guns, they shoot in, they know how to move in formation, they know how to kill, they can follow orders, they can hear the signals, okay? And the officer's going 45 degrees, and off they go and do it. That's what you're going to be looking at for a samurai. So a samurai is going to be like, depending on what his job is in the army, he'll be leading a group of people, most likely. Maybe other samurai, maybe an ashigaru troop, maybe archers, it doesn't matter. But the only difference is the upbringing they have. They don't necessarily fight any worse or better. You might get an amazing ashigaru fighter who trains all day, he lives in the Lord's barracks, and by the end of the 1500s, you start to see ashigaru are becoming permanent army fixtures, and they're like your soldiers, and your samurai are like your officers. The officer might not always be able to fight better than the soldier. Do you see what I'm saying here? So when you're looking for Yasuke, keep with me, guys. When you're looking for Yasuke, right, you're not looking to say, is he technically, by definition, of a samurai lineage? It doesn't matter. Has he been picked up by Nobunaga? Is he given weapons? Is he given a house? Is he taken to war? The answer to all that is yes, he is. By your needs or your standards, he's a samurai. What you think is a samurai is what he does. Now, I've been asking lots of people about this question, some of my samurai dream team, and some of these are Frederick Kynes, who's actually a professor in Kyoto, and this is his book, In the Service of the Shogun, okay? We've got Stephen Nojiri, all right, Stephen Nojiri, who has done this Samurai Traditions of the Tadagenji. Get yourself a copy if you want to go deep into samurai stuff, and he is on YouTube as well. You've got me, of course, Anthony. I'm How to Be a Modern Samurai, the Book of Ninja, the Book of Bushido, and of course we've had Nick the Shogunate, who's led me to some great stuff here. So let's have a look at the original documentation and things like that. Let's start with Stephen Nojiri's points. He's the author of Samurai Traditions of the Tadagenji, yep? Let's start with this. Basically, he's saying, the further back you go, the more of a division between samurai and bushi. And what does this mean for Yasuke? Basically, the warrior and the samurai are very much different things, and the samurai goes into a court position, an aristocratic court position, with ties into the aristocracy. Now, this was emailed to me from Frederick Kynes, In the Service of the Shogun, and he basically is like, yes, early on you've got to have connections, you've got to have certain family lineage, but as you go further back, these are very important. But as you get closer to that 1500s mark, it's less and less, 1600s mark is less and less important, and we get what's called the topsy-turvy world, where the world of the samurai is shaken. People without the blue blood and without the aristocratic ties, nobody cares, they're pulled up. They're, they're sort of like, even the shogun who's connected to this royal family, who's connected to that, is thrown out of the way. Nobunaga's like, yeah, mate, very good. You keep doing what you're doing. Fuck off. You know what I mean? And let's get on with it. But you wouldn't say Nobunaga's not a samurai. You wouldn't say, the Tokugawa Ieyasu. And then you wouldn't say that Toyotomi Hideyoshi is not a samurai. But probably they don't fit into the mix. We also know from the Iga rules which came when Nobunaga was coming in at the same time as Yasuke. The Iga rules say if anybody does well and does X, Y, and Z, we'll promote them to samurai. We know you could be promoted to samurai, irrelevant of your background. So there is no problem with Yasuke being promoted to samurai. This is not an issue. William Adams is promoted to samurai. Now, would it be in a promotion 500 years before that? Would he have been a samurai? Debatably not. Maybe a bushi, who's just a warrior. Fair enough, given certain things. By 1600s, you're talking there. It's splitting hairs. So yes, most likely, in fact, it's most probable that Yasuke is a samurai. It was no doubt. There is nowhere that says that, but he's given stipend. He becomes a retainer. Now, this is a problem. When you call a retainer, It doesn't always have to be a samurai. I did incorrectly answer someone on YouTube about this, and that's my mistake. I apologise. Because a retainer, an ashigaru can be a retainer. This is a problem with switching languages from English to Japanese. Like, you can't really have a squire in Japan because, you know, they are samurai. The pages are pretty much samurai. It's a samurai position. Even boys are samurai. So whereas knights have to be knighted from squire into knighthood, samurai don't have to really do that. You're either a samurai or you're not, or you're promoted into it later on, but not because you've squired for someone. Okay, so when you shift in English, it changes a bit. So basically, there's no problem with him not having the lineage of a samurai, even though on paper he doesn't have the samurai lineage. We know William Adams, some Southeast Asian, some Chinese people who end up in Taisha Ryu, they are all, you know, made samurai. We have no problem. They sort of sweep this, you have to have it, you know, this certain pedigree under the table. So basically, guys, samurai is a job. The people who fill that job are the bushi class, the warrior class, and in the end, all the bushi fill all the samurai jobs, and then they're sort of synonymous. There's no real problem. And then you get an undercurrent of ashigaru, and we can say he's not probably ashigaru. Now, the shogunate, Nick from the shogunate, is also pointing out, I'll just refer to his email, is that Todo Takatora and, of course, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, they are examples of samurai without lineage. William Adams and, again, all the others, yet, like we said. So there's plenty of samurai without lineage that become samurai. So it is true academically that lineage is needed, but Yasuke doesn't need it to become a samurai. And Nick himself is like, yeah, why would he not be a samurai? He's given a house, he's given swords, he's, you know, follows Nobunaga around, he appears in campaigns occasionally. But let's carry on. Okay, let's go back to Frederick Kynes of Kyoto University in the service of the shogun. Please support these people, guys. The more you support them, the more, you know, we actually get going. Now, he emailed me and said, Anthony, by coincidence, he's been reading Ietada's diary, and which contains a description of Yasuke, and basically on the 4th month of Tensho, 1582, that is about the 6th month in Western calendars, so about June, 1582, just before the Hondoji incident where Nobunaga is killed and all burned. It says the following: Ue-sama, who is Nobunaga, was accompanied by a black man who was said to have been presented to him by a missionary and whom he had given a stipend. So basically, a retainer. He had a body like black ink, was about 6 shaku 2 bu, which is 6 foot or 1.82 meters, and his name was said to be Yasuke. Okay, so that's a direct description from 1582, and it clearly says he's with him, he's a retainer of him, basically, which doesn't outright say samurai, but do you know what I mean? You're not going to go look at that guy at the back there who's part of the Ashigaru. He's with Nobunaga as he's moving around. Do you know what I mean? He's not his forces, which will be left somewhere in barracks or camp somewhere. He's moving with Nobunaga. Now, we have to question. So one question comes up is, which people moved with Nobunaga? Like, where is he here? Why is he moving? Who is moving with him? Does he have Ashigaru with him? Does he have low-level people with him? Do you know what I mean? And they've just mentioned him because he's got black skin. Do you know what I mean? That's a possibility. But we do know he's been given a house, swords, and he's not loaned them, he's been given them. And, you know, he becomes a retainer, which again is a confusing English word. Right, guys, now back to the shogun. He found this post by Parallel Pain. I don't know who this guy is, but anyway, it basically says, since the last time I posted about this, I went to track down the entry of Yasuke in the Maeda clan version of the Shinchokoki. Kaneko Hiraku, professor at the Historiographic Institute of the University. Sorry, I've not got my glasses on. The most prestigious historical research institute in Japan, includes in his book, paired with the translation of Thomas Lockley's book, which is correct. It says, this black man called Yasuke was given a stipend, a private residence, and was given a short sword with a decorative sheath. He's sometimes seen as the role of weapons bearer. So he's got a stipend, he's been given a sword, yeah? Now, there isn't a single document that says he is a samurai, okay? So when you're looking at historical things, guys, you have to just, it's inferred. When they're writing back then, they know what the reader will gain from this. So he's given a stipend, and everybody will know, oh, he's a samurai. Or not. He's given a stipend, he's given a house, and he's made the sword bearer. Okay, well, that implies this. implies that. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't have to say he is a samurai. We have to work that out. But anyway, what this guy does is he takes the word stipend. Yeah, he takes the word stipend. I'll put a link to this below, and he shows you in the same document by the same author. He goes through and he gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versions where the kanji, the Chinese characters for stipend, are used, and he says all of them bar one. All of them are used to mean samurai, and not only that, samurai of high ranking. So, for example, someone was given to stipend and 200 men under his command. So he's a high-ranking samurai. Yep, up there. So, but it says also that a sumo wrestler was given the same thing, but he became a samurai for Oda Nobunaga. Okay, so I'll put the links in there. But basically, guys, so far, you don't need to worry if he's a samurai or not. For your purpose, he is a fighting warrior. He's not just someone who sits at the side and is like, oh, look at me, I'm pretty. He is at least armoured, with a weapon, with a house, probably has servants with him, lower ranking servants, and he accompanies the Lord. He will be expected to fight. Whether he actually fought or not, I don't personally know, but you're all expected to fight. If you are given a sword, even if you're doing it with a brick, if your Lord is in danger, or if your Lord needs to, you are a fighter. That's it. They will levy the people, levy the Ashigarus. You have to fight. Hold the press. Hold the press. Stephen Nojiri, author of Samurai Traditions of the Tadagenji, has just emailed me right now. And he said one of the arguments they're having is that Yasuke survived the Honnoji event, which is basically when Nobunaga, it's all up in flames, everything's dying, and people on the internet saying, well, if he's a samurai, why didn't he commit seppuku? This is a number one lower level problem of people who, don't understand samurai history. If every samurai whose lord died had to commit seppuku, there'd be no samurai left. It's like, all of the people who lost at Sekigahara have to filter into the different places. We know when the Takeda fell that the Takeda samurai many of them went to Tokugawa Ieyasu. It wasn't that, there's the 10,000 Takeda men. Oh, Takeda's dead. Right, everyone, get your seppuku knives ready. You ready? Oh, sorry, Bob, you're feeling not well. Okay, somebody will do it for you, mate. Fill the form in. We are the Judean People's Front Crack Suicide Squad. Name that program, name that film. It isn't true. He could have easily survived that. We have many. So one of Stephen's points here is Kusunoki Masatora survived the Honnoji event and continued service under Toyotomi as an example. So samurai committing seppuku after a lord dies is much rarer than a samurai that lives on. Otherwise, you'd have no samurai left. Every time one of the lord died, the clan had died. So it's ridiculous. So let's get rid of that myth. Now, let's return to Frederick Kynes in the service of the Shogun. And I'm going to read you his email, which is, I never normally read emails out, but this is a generic thing. So he's showing you how complex it is for the samurai problem. So here we go. The answer to the question as to whether Yasuke was a samurai depends on the definition of the term samurai. The term samurai has been a source of confusion due to its changing meaning over time and its unclear usage in historical documents. Originally derived from the word saburau, meaning to serve, the term was used to refer to those of the 6th and 7th ranks who served at court, typically as warriors. Samurai in the strict sense were mostly descendants of the emperors or perhaps aristocratic families. In this strict definition, Yasuke was certainly not a samurai. In Yasuke's time, the term was sometimes used to include high-ranking bushi who didn't have court titles, so possible. In that sense, Yasuke could be perhaps considered a samurai, but as I said, certainly not in the strict sense of the word, as Yasuke lacked lineage. I think kinju, which probably more accurate term, meaning a warlord's attendant, could be a kosho or a samurai or a bushi, etc. So what the professor is saying here is that the word samurai is not like a normal word in the dictionary, guys. So you have to get this right. We normally see the word samurai in Edo period documents. He's a samurai of 20 koku. So for example, the man who published the Book of the Samurai, the man who wrote it, is actually only on 25 koku, but he's absolutely samurai. He's Natori Masazumi, but he's on a really low amount of money. But he's also the personal bodyguard to Tokugawa Yorinobu. So he's walking around in high-ranking circles, he's drinking the best wines or whatever, and the best teas at the tea parties, and there's 49 of them who escort him everywhere to wherever he goes, and who serve him in his house. So they'll sit by the side, sit there, and sometimes it is said from the family records that they interacted and had conversations about martial arts and about military, and that they drank, basically, he doesn't say they drank together, but they sat together in conversation and chatted. So they didn't just sit at the side and like, what's his name? What's he doing around? It was more of a relationship was built. Even though one was the lord of a province and the other one was only on 25 koku, they were both samurai. Okay? What we don't get is a lot of talk from the 1500s where samurai is a definite thing. So it's like the word changes. So in Yasuke's time, it's changing. There are changes. So yes, there is a very strict definition for the word samurai, but at that same time, that definition is starting to collapse. And when you look at the world around him at that time, the language was changing. The Jesuits come along and say, before Sekigahara, the world was different. Japan was different. The customs were different. There's lots of things different in the Sengoku period. And then they change in the Edo period. And what we do is we see Edo period things. We look at Edo period shows. We watch Edo period things. We watch TV shows that have got in the Sengoku period that are full of Edo period problems. Now, again, back to In the Service of the Shogun, which is Frederick Kynes. He actually was the advisor on the Shogun, the actual show, and he himself, I've chatted to him, we had an interview saying it's totally, there are two separate sides and there's a blend out. This is also the same for language, positions, and all of that. So guys, let's round it up. So let's round it up. Was he a samurai? It doesn't matter, not because it's wishy-washy, it doesn't matter. He was sword wielding, most likely armor wearing, Japanese clothes wearing, gave the weapon to the Lord. He would not have been without a sword. He'd be weapon bearing. He held the Lord's sword, which is a prestigious position, and he travelled with the Lord. So when the Lord is on campaign, he's travelling with the Lord, we're assuming. And he's not going to stand there and say, oh, sorry, I'm not samurai, mate, I don't fight. Oh, yeah, Bob. Yeah, if you survive, mate, don't forget you owe me a $5. Yeah, Bob, all right? Good luck. Never happened, right? Bob and Yasuke went together to war, and it was like, he's got armor, he's got a sword, he's holding the Lord's sword, it's a prestigious position. Is he, he's there. So for the game, is he a fighter? Is he around at that time? Is he doing stuff? Can we imagine him going through Iga and smashing things up and killing people? Most likely. Whoa, there's no reason to think he didn't. Is he, in the strictest sense of the term, derived from the 6th and 7th court levels of the aristocratic court? He has lineage back to such and such a person because it's originally a court, no. But it doesn't matter. Enjoy killing things. Go and kill things on the game. On a video game, which is what us Gen X say. Right, so let's talk about the game. Right, guys, the game. Okay, so the Shogunate, Nick from Dream Team, absolutely made a great point. The most historically accurate character out of the pair of them in the game is Yasuke. The most inaccurate one is the woman. She is totally inaccurate. Totally inaccurate. Not only in what she wears is historically inaccurate, the way she moves in society is inaccurate, the way she fights is inaccurate. Everything about her is cheese. But, so let's go to, do we care? First of all, I don't care. I don't play computer games. I don't play video games. So I haven't got the patience for it. I tried to play Batman once, and I couldn't get out of the training area. My friends lent me a Batman game. I was like, yep, I don't get a phone in them. I don't want to get out. And I played Elder Scrolls once, and I watched my friend who came along, and I was killing things, let's murder everything, yeah, heads, ah. And he came along and said, look, if I take this, and I cut this, and I do this, I can sell this to the butcher, and I sell this to the bread maker, and I make these cut. I was like, off. Switch. I've got no time for off. I was too geeked out. I was like, and I'm a geek. And it was like, that's too geeky, mate. Get out. So basically, I'm not a computer game person. Long way of selling it. But right, here we go. Let's go. Basically, it's a computer game. In this world, if somebody is going to spend millions of pounds making a game and they want to make it about space aliens in samurai time, that's totally up to them. They can make everyone black for all I care. You can be fully black. No problem. That's it. Remove the Japanese, make it black. Because the thing about this world is, if it works and it's a good idea and it's interesting, people will buy it. And if it doesn't work and it's not a good idea, people won't buy it. So vote with your wallet. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Don't ever buy it. Don't ever play it. Don't ever do anything like that. That's the great thing. So that's the good thing about the world. You can do whatever you want as long as you're putting the money down. If in this case that the if somebody had put all the money in first and said we're going to do a Kickstart, I'm going to do a Japanese assassin game, and everybody put money in, and it turned out they just make the character black, you'd be like, whoa, I paid for this. I didn't want that. I wanted it in Japan. I wanted it to be a Japanese man and be a ninja. What's going on? But that didn't happen, so it doesn't really matter. But I do also understand that it's quite annoying when everything you turn to in your media suddenly has a political agenda, and politics invades computer games or history. Politics should never touch history, and it should never be in a computer game, and it should never be in comedy, it should never be in anything. I'm a strong advocate of this. If I want to hear jokes about different races, different sexualities, different people, even against me, the English, let's hear them, bring it on. I think it's funny. That's why the world has changed irrevocably, and it's weird. A joke is a joke. Fantasy is a fantasy. If we want to play, you let me know, guys, I have had the best idea for a samurai film ever, and it's got to be done by Quentin Tarantino. If anything, Quentin Tarantino. So I'm thinking about describing it here and saying message for Quentin Tarantino, and I want all you guys to just bombard his social media till he gets this video, yeah? Just a link. Let's get it to him so he makes this samurai film. And I've got it down. Got diversity sorted. Got it all sorted. Let's go. So shall we do that? Let's make a campaign of speak to Quentin Tarantino. Let's do it. So, is it a problem? Well, no, because this game, just don't buy it. Go somewhere else. Play Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, or play the ninja game ever, which was Shinobi on the arcade. You'll never get a better one. Totally historically inaccurate. The best Shinobi game ever. Is it annoying that it's in everything you do? Yes, it is. But the only way you can deal with that is vote with your wallet. Just don't buy it. I'm not going to buy it for that reason. If it was fully Japanese and fully this, I'd be like, and it wasn't political, it wasn't the feminist stuff, and it wasn't the background stuff, I'd probably go and have a go at it. But I'm not going to, because I just hate that sort of world. We live in a world where everybody be nice to everyone and everybody be okay. Don't judge people. Just judge them on what they do, not what they look like, what they're doing. Don't worry about it. Enjoy yourself. So what I would say, guys, is, so returning back to, is Yasuke a samurai? Probably yes. But that word samurai means different things across different ages. In Yasuke's time period, most likely, if it was the Edo period and he was given that position, there'd be no doubt he's a samurai. And it's only about 12 years off the Edo period, so it's close enough that you're like, yeah, he's a samurai. Don't worry about it. But, footnote, don't worry about whether he's a samurai or not, because the simple fact is he's a fight. He is going to be a fighter. There's no problem about that. Is he any good? That's the other thing. So the other thing is, first of all, you've got to get away from our modern Western ideas that, oh, they were trying to scrub his skin. How racist. That's ridiculous. Black skin in Japan is about a god. Gods have black skin, okay? In the West, gods have white skin. In India, they have blue skin. In Japan, they have blue to black skin, yeah? You see them all, gold teeth and the black and all. So they're going to be like, what the... You're like a god. Strip off, man, strip off. Can't be real. Scrub him. Nope, it's real. Okay, right. Okay, plant him in our stuff. He's 6'2", right? The average Japanese is about 5 foot. It's between 4'11"-ish to 5'2" is your Japanese average, yeah? Because you never get everyone the same height like Space Marines, you know what I mean? They're different heights. So there you go. You've got that put together. So he's going to tower over everyone. And Nobunaga's going to be like, I am from nowhere, and I am taking over all of Japan. And I've got this 6'2" guy, fully armed and operational battle star there. Stand by me, mate. You are my sword bearer. Why would you want a 6'2" intimidating man stood by you as a sword bearer? What do you think? What do you think? It's the same reason we do it today. Whenever you want a bodyguard, you get the biggest black guy you can ever find. For no other reason than the stereotype that comes along. He's hard, he's lean, he's mean, he's going to crush you. Crush your head down. You know what I mean? Doormen, bouncers. They end up at that job. For no other reason than it's intimidating for people who are not from Africa or a black community. It is intimidating because it is out of context and massive. So it's the same as if an 8 foot, in today's world where we're all 6.5 foot, I'm tiny, but then it's the same as having a 12-foot Chinese man turn up, you know what I mean? Someone's 1/6 taller than you, a 7-8 foot Chinese man turn up, and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, he's intimidating, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't speak, or he does speak your language, but he's alien to you, and he's bigger than you, and you don't know what, if he knows the social etiquettes of the world. Is he going to just kill me? I don't know. This is where you have to understand stereotypes and how they are used in the world. It's that simple. If you want to tell a story, so imagine this, you're walking down the street, right? There's a very, very slender, almost bean-thin youth with a Union Jack t-shirt and a shaved head and a black bomber jacket and boots, right? He's white, but what do you think? He's not the nicest of men, is he? He's going to headbutt you. There's another one with a mohawk and a ring and chains and everything and a bottle, and he's drunk and he's walking around. Is he a nice guy? No. You know what I mean? He's probably going to headbutt you. There's a man with a bowler hat and a tie and a thingy walking down. We automatically jump to these things. So Nobunaga is like, I want you as my sword bearer because you're going to intimidate anyone. And he's probably said to him, you protect me. Just let's be honest, we don't know what he did, but he's going to be honest. You protect me, mate, and I'll look after you. You make sure no one comes near me and use your massive size to just grip him and throw him out if I'm ever attacked. That's it. But we just don't have enough evidence. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Ramble on the way. So sorry, guys, if this has gone on a long time, but I just wanted to get these things out. So let's very quickly round up. Doesn't matter if he's a samurai, because he's going to fight anyway. He's going to have fought in history, and they've picked him for the game. Is it correct for him to be a ninja in the game next to a woman? No, totally incorrect. It's weird. It's a crazy choice. Why would you do that? It's silly. But there's so many better ways you could have used a woman and a black man in Sengoku period to way better effect and got everyone on your side. So Ubisoft, you could have totally got everyone on your side by doing it. Totally. I might do another video to say how I would have done it. Let's see when it comes out. And B, vote with your wallet. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Let it be a panned game, and then send them my information and say, if you want to make a real ninja game, speak to Anthony Cummins, because he knows his stuff about ninjas. Right, guys, rant over. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please support these authors. So Frederick Hines is In the Service of the Shogun, William Adams, Samurai Traditions of the Tadagenji, and me, How to Be a Modern Samurai. So I'll have to get a new copy of that. How to Be a Modern Samurai, and you can get this on Audible now. So it's on Audible, which helps me a lot. And if you really, really, really want to help me, the Book of Bushido on Audible is my #1 thing I'm trying to promote at the minute. Get yourself a copy of that. Right, guys, see you later.